My brothers and sisters, this is ODJ, Otis Drip Jones, MrDoItMan himself. And during my research time, study time, my reading time, I'm in the process of reading this awesome book. It's called The Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, PhD, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. It's Dr. Joy, DeGruy. It's an awesome piece, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and this book really gets down to the root of many of our issues and problems that plague the black community. Because we must understand is there is a root to the problems and the behaviors that are exhibited in the black community. With every problem, there's a root, just like a weed that grows in your garden or in your lawn. You may cut the top of that weed, but it's going to just grow back. It's not until you get to the root of that weed that it will be extracted from your lawn or your garden, and you won't have that weed anymore. Same as with those of us who are in the black community, those descendants of slaves. We do have a root to a lot of the negative behaviors that are displayed in many of our inner city communities, with the population vastly in favor of those black individuals. So this piece I want to read to you guys is called A 3/5 Compromise, and it was written by James Madison, and I just want to read this passage to you guys, and then we'll discuss it once I'm done. Let me take my glasses off because I'm getting up in age and I can't see with or without my glasses. You guys forgive me. It says, James Madison, the primary author of our Constitution and a slaveholder, wrote this passage during the Constitutional Convention of 1787. One of the most heated debates at the convention was what to do about the slaves. A number of delegates from northern states saw that this as an opportunity to abolish slavery. Most of the southern delegates, most of whom were slave owners, intended to continue the practice. After much heated argument and debate, all but one agreed to eliminate slavery. That one state, South Carolina, threatened to go its way and not become a part of the United States if slavery was curtailed. And let's stop there for a second. So slavery could have been abolished in 1787, and only one holdout state, South Carolina, didn't want slavery to stop. And they are the reason why a law wasn't enacted that slave would be no more. Slavery would be no more. It's all because of South Carolina. Let that sink in. And I'll say it again. Slavery could have been abolished in 1787. And only South Carolina didn't agree to get rid of slavery. That's some history for you. The delegates, unwilling to lose South Carolina, acceded to its demands, and so were stalemated. To resolve the logjam, the delegates decided to table the discussion of abolition to a later date. Slavery will continue to be legal under the Constitution. This posed another problem. How were slaves to be figured into each state's population count? Delegates considered this. The more people residing in a state, the more representatives that particular state can send to the House of Representatives, and hence the more power that state can wield. Northern delegates, arguing that since slaveholders viewed slaves as property and granted them no rights, proposed that slaves not be counted at all towards a state's total population. Southern delegates attempted to argue that slaves should be counted as part of the population. The quote above is an example of an attempt at resolving the problem. The main thrust of Madison's argument is that slaves should be considered property for tax purposes and individuals for the purpose of determining a state's population. He goes on to explain how it is the slaves are both persons and property. You can see the absurdity and his argument and the ludicrousness of the situation. Here, you have slave owners having just defended their view that slaves are property, in part as justification for committing some of the most heinous crimes against other human beings, now trying to claim them as persons. And why? So they can have greater power in the soon to be formed federal government. Why did they need this power? To continue the institution of slavery as the economic juggernaut it had become, and to prevent the Northern from passing legislation for its dismantling. The agreed upon solution, to this problem was the 3/5 compromise. Rather than each slave being counted as a person, 3/5 of that state's slave population will be counted towards the state's total population. In this way, slaves have become 3/5 of a human. Wow. Those slave owners wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They wanted to have those slaves counted as property and counted as persons. How privileged is that? And that's the basis of white privilege, having your cake and eating it too. We were not considered in any decision. So we had to accept whatever they gave us because they owned us. They looked at us as property, and property, things that are inanimate, things that don't have feelings. That's how they treat animals. They treat animals any kind of way because animals, in their opinion, doesn't have any feelings. You treat buildings and chairs and couches and carpet and floors as inanimate objects. They're property, and that's how they treated us. We're human. You do know that this is flesh. I'm a human. I can feel. I'm a human. But they looked at us as property. And the northern states were right. Since you looked at them as property, since you looked at us as property, and we don't have any rights, why should we be counted in your state's population? All so you can get power. And that's what it's about, my brothers and sisters. It's about the power. It's about the almighty dollar. Because money is equated to power. But I know one better, and that's knowledge. Knowledge is power. Because when you have knowledge, you have the power to make informed decisions that will greatly enhance your life, greatly enhance your position, as able as the ability to grow to a higher level, and greatly enhance the future of your family. But these sick, evil, white slave holders, slave owners, who, mind you, are considered to be some of the founding fathers, they looked at human beings as property, as inanimate objects. They could do whatever they want to do. And that's so sick to look at individuals as inanimate objects, but they still have sex with us. They still reproduce with us. So you mean to tell me that you are sexually aroused by an inanimate object? It's sick. It's sick for what you did to us humans, us black humans. We were and are humans. So we're considered part human and part property. Why does America still, to this day, treat us as if we are not totally human? That's why we don't have the rights that we should have. And that's why we have the inequality prevalent in our society. Because it's proven, my brothers and sisters, that white people have different privileges, different opportunities. They have different access than we do as black people. And that's why we push the movement that Black Lives Matter. Understand this, Black Lives Matter go far beyond police brutality. Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, is an holistic account of the black life. No, we don't want to be brutalized by the police, but we don't want to continue not having the same rights and not having the same privileges, not having the same economic opportunities, not having the same educational opportunities. And that's the bottom line. Our culture, black people are still hurting from the effects of slavery. And they didn't give us reparations, and people think that reparations is all about money, but the pure definition is to restore to a good condition. And those of us who are descendants of slaves are not in a good condition because we have not gotten treatment for the traumatization that we have experienced for hundreds and hundreds of years. The 3/5 compromise. The Constitution, founding fathers considered us to be 3/5 of a human being. All so they can fill their pockets with money, all so they can have political power, political position, and a political place in this United States of America. And I'm not sure why people can't understand the movement and the meaning behind Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And white folks want to say, well, our lives matter too. Yes, your life does matter. But your life has mattered more than our life for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's time for us to get our just due. We're 100% human being now. We're no longer considered 3/5 of a human being. Then stop treating us like property. And all people want to say, oh, well, you know, black lives won't matter to the world until they matter to black people. We have to understand the structure that was placed on us. You take all of the violence in the different cities in this nation, Baltimore, Chicago, St. Louis, and many different cities in this nation, the inner cities are compromised with mainly black people. So when you put a ton of black people on top of each other with no resources, with no education, with no opportunity, what do you think is going to happen? It's like the crab mentality. One crab can't get out of the bucket because the other crab is pulling him down. So understand this, there's no black on black crime. Crime is crime. And crime is committed amongst people who live and reside in close proximity to you. White people that live amongst white people commit crime against white people. Asian people that lives amongst in close proximity to Asian people commit crime against Asian people. Mexicans that live in close proximity to Mexicans commit crime against Mexicans. And black people who live in close proximity to black people commit crime against black people. Crime is crime. I'm from Chicago. Nobody's going from the west side to the north side to commit crime, because they don't have transportation to get to the north side to commit crime. So I'm going to commit crime to the person that's 2 blocks away from me, that's down the street from me. So there's no black on black crime. So instead of focusing on black crime, which you claim exists, How about focusing on restoring us to a condition to where we wouldn't see fit to commit crime against people that look like you and me? That seems like the more feasible explanation to getting to the root of this problem. How about us addressing and acknowledging that slavery did happen? How about addressing and acknowledging that trauma happened from a result of slavery? They tried to keep us dumb. No, they didn't try to. They kept us dumb. It was against the law to read. It was against the law to write. It was against the law to learn arithmetic. All the basic needs to survive as a human being. And we have so many years of that treatment. It begins to become a mindset. It begins to become a way of life that's been passed down through generation up until now, 2020. That mindset is still prevalent and is traced all the way back to slavery. So let's get to the root. Let's handle the root of the problem so we can extract the root, demolish and dismantle this negative behavior that plagues black people, and then we can move forward to getting to the healthy condition that we so desperately need and deserve. That's the fact of the matter, my brothers and sisters. And it doesn't matter your faith beliefs. It doesn't matter your religious status. The bottom line is we're black. It doesn't matter if you're Christian. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, if you're a Hindu, if you're a Buddhist. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation because you are black. It doesn't matter if you're homosexual. It doesn't matter if you're a lesbian. It doesn't matter if you're a transgender. What matters is we're black. So Black Lives Matter umbrella encompasses all that have black skin. Even the one that have black skin that's not our kin, your life still matters. Even the ones who are brainwashed to be a black face to white supremacy, your life still matters. Because if you find yourself in a precarious situation, you're going to be treated according to your skin color. It's not going to matter your political views. It's not going to matter your hatred towards black people. When you are in a precarious situation and the rubber meets the road, and you're among some who may treat you like you're black, you're going to be treated exactly how you are as a black person. So my brothers and sisters, please, I recommend you get this book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeRay, PhD, the author of this piece. Very powerful and strong piece. Knowledge is power, my brothers and sisters. And I will be coming back to you more with different passages from this book, and we will discuss going forward. Get the book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. This is ODJ, Otis Drip Jones, Mr. Do It Man himself.